Ever get that feeling where you really want to believe something incredible, something amazing,
Uh-huh.
but there's this little voice in the back of your head, it's
Yeah.
like nagging you, saying, but where's the proof?
Oh, yeah, like, show me, show me. We always want that hard
Oh,
evidence.
we totally do, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're wired to need that tangible, concrete thing to really buy into it, even when we've got a good story or a logical arguments staring us right in the face.
Yeah, I think that need for solid confirmation is a big part of how we approach, well, pretty much everything, right?
It really is. And, that's actually what we're going to explore today in this deep dive. We're going to take a good long look at this really fascinating passage from the Gospel of John, chapter 4, verses 43 through 54. And we've got Matthew Henry's commentary to guide us.
Oh, Henry's always good.
The best. So what we really want to get at is the heart of this narrative, this back and forth between faith, those signs we're always looking for, and the sheer power you find in Jesus's words.
It's amazing how much is packed into just a few verses, you know?
It really is. And by the time we wrap up, you'll have a much deeper grasp of this story. And who knows, maybe you'll even walk away with a fresh take on what it means to believe.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not just going to rehash the plot points. We want to really get in there, tease out those subtle details.
Those little nuances that Henry helps us unearth.
Exactly.
So, what's on the menu for today? We're going to trace Jesus' steps as he heads back to Galilee, and we're going to pay close attention to why he decides to skip his hometown, Nazareth.
Interesting, right.
Then we'll get to meet this desperate nobleman who's on a mission to get healing for his sick son. We'll hear his heartfelt plea, consider Jesus' response, which is a bit thought-provoking, to be honest, and then the really amazing outcome that follows. And not just for him, but for his whole family. It's like this ripple effect of belief.
It's powerful.
So stick with us to the very end, because we're going to leave you with a question to chew on, something to really make you think about the nature of faith itself.
It's one of those stories that has so many layers.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
And Matthew Henry just helps peel them back one by one.
He's great at that.
All right, let's jump in. The story kicks off with Jesus leaving Samaria after spending a couple of days there. And even though he was pretty well received there,
Yeah, he had a good time.
John tells us he's headed for Galilee. But here's the thing. He bypasses Nazareth, which Matthew Henry points out was, like, his true hometown,
Yeah.
So what's with the detour? Why avoid home?
I think the answer is right there in Jesus' own words. He says, a prophet has no honor in his own country.
Interesting.
And Matthew Henry dives into the reasons why that's often the case, He suggests that this familiarity, it can breed, well, a lack of respect. It's like those who've known you forever, it's almost like they have a hard time accepting you in a new light, especially when you step into a role that seems, I don't know, authoritative or something.
Yeah, totally. It's like that saying, familiarity breeds contempt.
Exactly. Like, imagine how tough it must be to see, say, your sibling or a childhood friend suddenly become a big shot in their field, right?
It's almost like we get stuck with these images of them from way back when.
Right. Like, you can't get past the shared history to see the present reality.
It's so true. And Henry even talks about how we tend to value things that seem exotic or things we had to work hard for more than the stuff that's right under our noses.
Yeah.
It's almost like we take the valuable stuff for granted.
Oh, for sure. Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. So maybe something for us to think about as listeners is how our own preconceptions about the people we're close to might be blinding us, preventing us from seeing their true potential or even their current skills and talents.
It's a good point. Like, are we really seeing the people around us?
Mm.
Or are we stuck in the past?
Right. Good question. But okay, so you've got Nazareth, which is like a no-go zone. But then you've got the rest of Galilee rolling out the welcome mat.
Totally different vibe, right?
Completely. And the reason for that warm reception is actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
John mentions that they welcomed him specifically because they had seen his miracles in Jerusalem during Passover.
Oh, wow. So they were actually there.
They were. So attending this major religious festival, or public ordinance as Henry calls it, actually led to a spiritual benefit. They got to witness Jesus' power firsthand. It almost makes you wonder if they were more open to him because they didn't have those same preconceived notions, those limiting ideas that maybe the folks back in Nazareth were carrying around.
It's possible, right? Like a fresh slate.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder for us too, as listeners, that even when we're just going about our daily routines, there's always the chance for something unexpected to happen.
Definitely, yeah. Keep your eyes open.
Be ready for those aha moments.
Exactly.
Okay, so Jesus is back in Galilee, and he specifically heads to Cana. Now, for those who need a quick refresher, what's so special about Cana?
Well, Cana is where Jesus performed his first miracle.
That's right, turning water into wine at a wedding feast.
It's a good one.
And Matthew Henry thinks that Jesus might have gone back to see if there were any lasting effects from that miracle,
Ah, to check in and see how things were going.
to see if people's faith had deepened or if that initial excitement had fizzled out.
Makes sense.
And this idea of revisiting places where our faith was first sparked, I think that's something we can all relate to.
Yeah, those moments that really stick with you.
Totally. Okay, so we're in Cana, and that's where we meet the main character in this part of the story. A royal official, as John calls him, or a nobleman, according to Henry. And this guy is in a really tough spot. His son is seriously ill in Capernaum, which was a good 15 miles away,
15 miles, that's quite a trek back then.
especially without cars and paved roads. So this tells you just how desperate he was.
Oh yeah, he must have been at his wit's end.
He was placing all his hope in Jesus' healing power.
You can feel the urgency in his actions.
And Henry gives us some possible meanings for this term nobleman, right?
Right, he throws out a few ideas. He might have been someone super wealthy, holding a powerful position.
Maybe even a courtier connected to the Herodian dynasty.
Oh wow, so someone with real status.
Yeah. And the fact that someone like that would go to such lengths to find Jesus, that really underscores his desperation and I think the faith he's starting to have in Jesus.
And he doesn't just send a servant, right? He goes himself.
That's a really important detail. He begs Jesus personally. Come and heal my son, he pleads. He's close to death.
It's heartbreaking.
And Henry points out the Father's tender affection and the respect he shows Jesus. Even though he's a man of high standing, he doesn't pull rank or anything.
He's humbling himself before Jesus.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Henry also picks up on a kind of contradiction in this nobleman's faith.
Uh-huh.
On one hand, the fact that he even bothers to track down Jesus, that shows he believes Jesus can heal his son.
Right, he wouldn't have made the journey otherwise.
But then, his specific request, come down before my child dies, that hints at a limit to his understanding of how Jesus actually operates.
Interesting.
It's like he believes that Jesus has to be physically present for the healing to happen.
Yeah, like he can't imagine it working any other way.
Almost like he's stuck in his understanding of traditional healing methods.
It's hard to wrap your head around something completely new, something you've never seen before.
Totally. It's like trying to use a brand new phone like your old flip phone. The technology is completely different.
Right, you have to adjust your thinking.
And remember that centurion in Matthew's gospel?
Oh yeah, he was something else.
His faith was so strong, he knew Jesus could heal just by saying the word. No need to even be in the same room.
Such a powerful example of faith.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings us to Jesus' response, which, I gotta admit, is a little bit of a head-scratcher at first. In John 4:48, he says, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will never believe. That sounds kind of harsh, doesn't it?
It does come off a bit strong, yeah. But Henry helps us understand what's going on there.
Thank goodness for commentators, right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
So Henry explains that Jesus isn't condemning miracles or anything. What he's addressing is the over-reliance on them, like they're the only path to belief.
Like you have to see it to believe it.
Especially when they've already heard about his miracles, maybe even witnessed some themselves. It's like he's saying, look, you've got the stories, you've seen what I can do. Why do you need a bigger, flashier show to convince you?
He's calling them out a little bit, challenging them to go deeper.
Yeah, to move beyond just the spectacle and into genuine belief.
I think this gets at something really fundamental about human nature.
That craving for proof, right?
Exactly. It's like this constant tension between wanting to see it to believe it and being open to a deeper, more invisible kind of faith. So, how does the nobleman take this, shall we say, pointed reply?
Well, surprisingly, he doesn't get offended or defensive.
He doesn't storm off.
No, he actually keeps pleading with Jesus, but his tone is still super respectful. He says, "Sir, come down before my child dies."
You can hear the desperation in his voice.
He's a father who's terrified of losing his son.
And Henry notes this incredible perseverance in his love for his son, but also still this underlying weakness in his faith. He's still so focused on Jesus physically being there.
Yeah, it's like he thinks time is running out, and if Jesus doesn't hurry, it'll be too late.
Which, from a human perspective, totally makes sense.
Of course, who wouldn't be frantic in that situation?
But as Henry highlights, he's still putting limits on Jesus' power. Like his ability to heal is somehow bound by distance or time constraints.
Like he needs to be in the same zip code to make it work.
Exactly. And it's in this moment of desperation, of limited understanding, that Jesus utters these incredibly powerful words. Verse 50, "Go," Jesus replied, "your son will live."
Chills.
Such a short sentence, but so much power packed into it.
It's amazing how much weight those few words carry.
Totally. And this is where we see a healing that happens solely through Jesus' spoken word. No physical touch, no need to rush over to Capernaum.
The power of his words alone.
Henry describes this beautifully as a demonstration of both Christ's power and his pity. He talks about the healing beams of the Son of Righteousness, reaching from one end of heaven to the other.
I love that imagery. It really captures the boundless nature of Jesus's power.
It's not limited by space or time.
Like he transcends all those limitations.
And Henry points out that this distant healing is also a way of correcting the nobleman's limited view of Jesus.
Like Jesus is showing him, look, I can work in ways you haven't even imagined.
It's a powerful lesson for all of us. Sometimes we try to box God in with our own limited understanding.
Yeah, we think we know how he should operate, but he's always capable of so much more.
So what's the nobleman's reaction to this?
Well, verse 50 tells us, the man took Jesus at his word and departed.
Wow. He just trusts Jesus.
Even though Jesus didn't do what he asked.
This is such a pivotal moment. His faith, even though it was shaky at first, takes a huge leap forward.
He chooses to believe and act on that belief.
He doesn't hesitate, doesn't demand more proof. He just gets going.
What a powerful example of faith in action.
And as he's on his way home, guess what happens?
The best possible news.
His servants come running up to him and shout, "Your boy is alive!"
Can you imagine the relief, the joy he must have felt?
It must have been incredible. But he doesn't just celebrate blindly.
He wants to know more, right?
Yeah, he asked them, when did he start getting better? Why do you think that's so important? Why ask about the time?
I think it's not about doubting, but about seeking confirmation.
Like wanting to solidify his faith.
And maybe to have concrete evidence to share with others later on.
He's looking for that undeniable connection between Jesus' words and his son's healing.
That cause and effect.
And what do the servants tell him?
They say, yesterday at 1 p.m, the fever left him.
And boom, it hits the nobleman. He realizes that was the exact moment Jesus spoke those words.
It all lines up perfectly.
The timing couldn't be more precise. And Henry emphasizes how this kind of corroborating evidence can really strengthen our faith.
It's not just wishful thinking, there's real proof there.
And the healing itself, it wasn't gradual or anything. It was sudden, complete, instant. It happened the very second Jesus spoke.
The power of Jesus' words on full display.
Such a profound moment.
Yeah.
And what's the final outcome?
Well, verse 53 says, so he and his whole household believed.
Wow, it's not just him, it's his entire family.
The ripple effect of faith.
Henry points out how influential the head of the household can be in matters of faith.
They set the tone for the whole family.
And he also reflects on how suffering can sometimes lead to unexpected blessings.
Like in this case, the son's illness ultimately brought the whole family to faith.
And there's another really interesting thought that Henry brings up. He suggests that this nobleman's conversion in Capernaum, which is a pretty important town, might have influenced Jesus' decision to later make Capernaum his base of operations in Galilee.
That's fascinating.
Like this one act of faith could have had much wider implications.
It shows how one person's belief can ripple outward and affect a whole community.
And then at the very end, John adds this little note in verse 54. This was the second sign Jesus performed after coming from Judea to Galilee. Why mention this, do you think?
I think it's a way of connecting this miracle back to the first one in Cana, the water into wine.
It's like a marker in Jesus' ministry, showing us the progression of his work.
And it also subtly reminds us that even though Jesus faced rejection in some places, there were also those who were open to him, ready to receive his message.
Like God's work will always find a way.
Okay.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've seen how Jesus navigated rejection in his own town, found welcome in Galilee, witnessed a father's desperate love for his son, and the incredible power of Jesus' spoken word to bring healing and spark faith.
It's a story that really gets you thinking about the nature of belief and how it can grow and evolve over time.
It does. And this brings us to that final question we promised, something for you to ponder.
That's the best part.
So think about the nobleman. He initially wanted a sign, some kind of tangible proof. But in the end, it was Jesus' word that ultimately led him to faith.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most powerful things are the ones we can't see.
Where in your own life are you searching for concrete evidence? And where might you be called to take a leap of faith, to trust in something you've heard or felt deep down to be true.
It's about being open to the possibility, even when we don't have all the answers.
This story, illuminated by Matthew Henry's insights, shows us that faith can blossom in the most unexpected ways. It's a journey, and it often starts with a single step, a willingness to believe.
It's a beautiful thing to witness.
It truly is. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking. And if you enjoyed this exploration of scripture and commentary, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future episodes. We've got plenty more to unpack together.
Always more to learn.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep believing. So we invite you to reflect on this story
To consider your own spiritual thirst.
and where you're seeking to find lasting satisfaction.
And if you've been intrigued by this deep dive, we encourage you to pick up the Gospel of John.
And read this incredible story for yourself.
Let Jesus' words and actions speak to you directly.
And if you're looking to explore your faith further,
And grow in your understanding.
make sure you subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into Scripture.
We'll be unpacking more fascinating stories together.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's always a pleasure to explore these truths together.